That was a long countdown. It seemed for 3 seconds. Hi, Facebook.
I'm putting all our good stuff in the comments here. Get all our resources and how to contact us.
We're frozen. Oh, hi.
We're
back.
Working. No, don't end. All right. Okay, let's hope that doesn't bode poorly for connection issues. Hey, guys. Anyone signing on? Want to say hello?
Nobody yet, but please sign on and come see us.
And thanks for watching us on the replay.
Most definitely.
So welcome to Sacramento Cornerstone Childbirth. I'm Amy.
I'm Jen.
We're going to do a quick intro. Today we are talking about how fear can be a roadblock to your labor and birth, and some really practical tips on, just acknowledging your fears, eliminating them, and bringing more calmness and stillness into your birthing location, your birthing room. So I am Amy Moy, and my business is Riverbend Birth Services. I am a certified Cornerstone birth doula, a certified Cornerstone childbirth educator, which is a method that we teach together. And I'm also a placenta specialist.
And I am Jen Kelly, and my business is Belly to Bliss Birth Services. And I'm a trained birth doula and a trained Cornerstone childbirth educator.
Rocking the hearts today.
I am. All love.
We need love.
I know.
Yeah.
Always love.
More love. All right.
Oh, and together we are Sacramento Cornerstone Childbirth again. And we teach the Cornerstone method of childbirth education.
All right. So what is fear, Jen?
What is fear? So Psychology Today has defined fear as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat.
And we think it's important that you understand that as fellow mammals, fear has some very concrete impacts on our hormonal response system. So what does fear cause mammals to do? Actions motivated by fear fall into 4 types. So there's freeze, fight, flight, or fright. So you either are frozen in your tracks, you fight against your predator or whatever's going on in your life. You fly, right? Flight means you run away from the situation. And then fright is just you're kind of stuck in fear. It's very similar to freeze.
So what conditions are usually present for other mammalian species to birth their young? So we've kind of alluded to these things before, but cave, we always talk about that cave because it's dark, safe, private, and quiet. Super important to have less fear if those things are happening.
And there is, so one of the links that we provided in the comments is an article from Midwife Thinking called Feel the Fear and Birth Anyway. And I really like the way she talks about fear. She doesn't just say eliminate it. She says, feel it, acknowledge it, and then do the good work, the good hard work of birth despite the fears. And so this is a really nice quote that we wanted to share from you. So what part does fear play in the birthing room? So first, and here's the quote, fear is a normal part of birth. It is normal to fear for yourself and your baby. It is normal to fear the changes that will come when this new person enters your life. It is normal to fear how you will are coping with the enormous physiological changes and sensations in your body.
That's all a whole big yes on all that stuff. However, if the birthing person is extremely fearful, or in some cases just mildly fearful for some people, for a prolonged period of time, because one or more of the aforementioned cave-like conditions aren't being met, they may have cortisol, which is a hormone that happens with fear, same as adrenaline. And what that does is that actually suppresses oxytocin from being secreted. So all the way down to that physiological in your body kind of stuff that the oxytocin, which is the love and labor hormone, would actually be suppressed by cortisol and adrenaline from that's being secreted when we have fear on board.
Absolutely. And Nikki and Julie Tilsner, who are the authors of the Cornerstone Method of Childbirth Education, talk a lot about how thinking is the arch nemesis of oxytocin flow. So, there's a thinking part of your brain, and there's a more primitive part of your brain stem, where, it's just like your vital functions are controlled. So if you can get back to that really base where you're just functioning, you're in this place that we call labor land, and you're not thinking, right? So thinking can be manifested in lots of different ways. Having the TV on,
yes,
right? Different personalities in the room, trying to manage relationships. A nurse coming in and constantly asking you, what's your pain? What's your pain? What can I, and we realize that's their job, right? Their job is to make you comfortable and, help you along the way. But if you're constantly being brought back into that thinking part of your brain, it gives you time to wonder if it's a safe time to have a baby.
Right.
And Jen likes to talk in our classes about how, you can quickly move from, brainstem to that cerebellum where you're really answering questions. You can answer quick questions and get back into the zone, but it takes some finesse and some support from the people in the room with you.
Right. And I think, I just wanted to point out one thing that we've talked about birth planning. So there was another video on that, on birth preferences. And I think we may have mentioned it. If not, that's why I'm going to mention it now. Kind of fits in with that part. Is it's almost more beneficial to you if you have on your birth preferences, if that you will let them know, meaning the providers, the nurses, and that kind of thing, when you're ready, if and when you're ready for any type of pain management. Yeah. So you kind of knock that out of people coming in and asking you about pain and offering you pain management to take you out of that labor land brainstem area. So just wanted to point that out.
One of the things my clients include on their birth preferences document is, I understand that pain medication exists and I will ask for it when needed. Definitely. So boom, knocks it out of the way. I'm so glad you said that. All right. So how do we mitigate this fear in the birthing room? So we've acknowledged that it's normal to be fearful, right? So, some might say we'd be a little concerned if you didn't have some kind of, understanding of the levity going on in the room. But how do we, now that we know to expect it, and it comes from all angles. It comes from the stories that people tell about birth. It comes from the media. How do you mitigate it? So we're going to just talk about a few practical things that you can do to eliminate as many fears as possible. So the first one, it's our cheesy saying, but knowledge is power. So I will tell you, and this is a story I tell in our classes a lot. My wife carried our daughter, and she talks about how impactful it was. The single most important thing she learned in our childbirth education class that we took in preparation for the birth of our daughter was understanding the physiology of what's happening in her body during birth. So she learned about the two sets of muscles that have to get coordinated to pull up and push down. That was so impactful for her. And she talks all the time about how, she was able to channel that knowledge during birth in a way to not be afraid of it.
Right.
She understood that discomfort had purpose. And so, taking a great childbirth education class is one of the first things you can do to set yourself on a journey of, positivity, eliminating fears, And obviously we'd love for you to join our class. You know, we always say, if you're going to take any class, just, you know, take something, you know, just to get some good working knowledge about, you know, what's going on in your body and what your options are. But starting with a good class, very, very impactful.
It's almost like being expected to put a puzzle together without seeing the picture.
Word.
Right? I just thought of that. And it's like,
seriously.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, these things, you have, you know, some pieces that you've picked up and stuff, but not knowing exactly how everything is fitting together, it just doesn't make any sense.
Love it. I love that. You're like the analogy queen.
I am.
I like it. All right. So what's next here? So
coping strategies.
Yeah. So those are other things you can learn in a great class. Right?
Definitely. We go through not just coping physically, but how to cope, you know, emotionally and mentally. Thank you.
Yep.
To have that fear, to, you know, acknowledge the fear, but to learn how to kind of get it out of your body. And so, like, we dispel some myths and misconceptions about birth that have probably been passed down from, you know, great grandma all the way down, about how birth it kind of looks and feels like, and all that kind of good stuff. And the media, you mentioned the media and some of the birthing shows that are out there can kind of not explain. It only shows, like, again, pieces and not a full picture of what's going on. So we like to help dispel and kind of tell the truth about what's happening inside your body.
So much on TV is dramatized, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so much of birth can be so just boring.
Right.
And I mean, you know, there are obviously heightened, you know, moments where things are happening, but like a true physiological birth without a lot of interventions, it's just like quiet and peaceful until it's not, you know. Right. And so it's not what it looks like on TV.
Not at all.
Okay, so Jen talked about the cave, right? So those are the conditions we need in order to hasten labor, in order to make it the shortest amount of time that you're in labor as possible. You know, birth is a mystery. We don't know how long it will be. We definitely don't see great results with real quick sprints. You know, it's really hard to get on top of your labor if you have a shorter labor. You know, everyone tells us, oh, I want to have a really short labor.
Right.
You might actually not. So nice, like, average length labor.
Average is good.
Like, you know, 12 to 24 hours, right? That's a really decent labor. It's, you know, if your muscles have never done this before, they need to get coordinated. So all throughout, you know, from early labor to transition and birthing your baby, the more you can do to recreate the cave, the better off you'll be, because your brain will feel like it's a safe, healthy, happy time to have a baby. The hormones in your body that will be coursing through will be the right hormones. Oxytocin, namely, right? So the love and labor hormone. What else can you do?
So what else can you do? You can hire a doula. We are so good at keeping you out of that front part of your head. So yeah, we have to throw that in all the time, because it really does. I mean, again, we're not just throwing it out there because we happen to be great, fabulous doulas. It's that there's evidence behind it that, you know, shows that having a doula there can shorten your labor, not the sprint, but shorten it, because we help make sure that everything is going as it should be. And when that happens, things just happen to move along, and you have that nice average length of labor.
Absolutely. You know, and yes, we humbly are, you know, great at our jobs and we love what we do, and we're not the doula for everyone, right? No. So, and we fully recognize that. And we are part of a beautiful collective of birth workers in the Sacramento area. Shout out to
Capital City Doula Collective.
Yeah, so you can read all of our bios on the website. So if we're not the doula for you, contact us and we will try to help find that personality that's a good fit for you.
Most definitely.
Absolutely. So hiring a doula can be really impactful. And then just releasing your fears. And this can sound woo-woo. So, we're not necessarily saying you have to bust out the sage and, but there are some things that you can do to release your fears. And the very first thing that we do in our classes is just encourage our participants to name their fears. Naming them, getting them out of your body, acknowledging them. And then, our students look around the room and they see other people nodding, and they don't feel so alone and realize, okay, this is something that is in our collective consciousness. So,
and it kind of normalizes the fear. When you don't feel so alone about something, it kind of normalizes the fear, like, oh, okay, I'm not the only one that's doing this, that's feeling this. And so just knowing that, it's just like the moment, like, wow, okay. So definitely a good thing. So write them down. Journal. Just when something pops up, write it down on that piece of junk mail on your kitchen table. Anything just to get it down and out. So it's just another way, if you don't feel like actually vocalizing that, writing it down is just another way of getting it out of your body.
Absolutely.
And then what can you do?
Once it's on paper, tear it up, throw it away, throw it in your fireplace, burn it. Watch the smoke rise from the ashes. And that can be really powerful.
It's like a symbolic type thing. And again, we're not asking you to get really, no chanting has to be done during this or anything like that. But again, it's just, it's recognizing it. So,
chanting is great.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying chanting is not great, but yeah,
we fully recognize that there are lots of different people in the world that have different practices. These are just some of our ideas that we've seen be really helpful with our clients.
Definitely chant if it does help you.
Absolutely.
But that's not needed. So I like this one, and I actually share this with my clients because of course they have my email address. So I have them say, if something is going on in their day or anything like that, I just let them know to put it all down in an email, vent it in an email, send it to me, PS it on the bottom saying, you know what, you don't have to respond. I'm just having a day. And again, it's getting it out of your body and it's sending it away. And you don't have to worry about the destination of being judged or anything like that. If you want feedback or responding or anything that I can help you with, that's definitely something I can do. But just getting it out again, if you kind of see where we're going with all this, it's getting it out of your body. So these are just different ways that that can help you.
Yeah. When we hold on to fear, absolutely. I mean, we physically and emotionally close up. So it's very powerful to get it out.
Right.
Meditation, a lot of our clients take prenatal yoga classes, and I know they have that element of, being really mindful and meditative during your practice. So, there are great apps that you can download onto your phone.
There's an app for that.
Absolutely, that can, like 10-minute meditations, 5-minute meditations, just giving yourself some carved out time during your day to be mindful of what's popping up for you. You might be really surprised at, what's kind of down below the surface a little bit once you get still.
Another thing is called tapping. If you've ever heard or haven't heard of tapping, there's actually, we linked it where tapping can be helpful during pregnancy. So it's specific for that. But again, it's just a motion. It is a process of the ones that I've heard of is actually tapping in the middle of your forehead. And it's again, it's like physically and emotionally connecting and using that to release fear.
Absolutely. Okay. And, birthing affirmations. So they can feel woo-woo to people, right? So that's cool. Whatever. works for you. But birthing affirmations are just either a visual thing that you can put up in your birthing space, or more like a mantra that you just say to yourself, whether it's just internally or vocalizing it. But we love to make these available to our participants. Whoops, this way. This one says, breathe in calm and breathe out tension. And, they're adult coloring sheets, and we have them available to our participants so they can do that during class. But then they can take these cards and hang them up in their birth space. And also during pregnancy, a lot of our students put them up in their houses while they're still expecting. And it's just a way to bring things back into a more positive focus.
And it gives you the time, not saying you have to sit and color, that's pretty intricate that you have to color the whole thing in one sitting, but it gives you some space and time to just be quiet with yourself, and it kind of takes your focus a little bit away from what you may be feeling inside.
Yeah, actually adult coloring is said to be meditative in and of itself.
Definitely. Okay. Wow, this is going to be oh, wait a minute, not as quick as I thought, but it was not as long as I think last time was a little bit long. So we want to leave you with one of our favorite birth affirmations. This one is from the Nurturing Root. So, my body contains all the knowledge necessary to give birth to my baby. Awesome.
And I'm just going to put in a couple more just because there are links in the comments that we skipped over. So reading positive birth stories and listening to positive birth stories or podcasts can be really beneficial. So one book in particular that I like to recommend to our participants and my clients is called Journey into Motherhood. Right up there in the lending library. You want to grab it? Thank you. I know, I didn't think about that. So it is chock full of positive birth stories. There is more of a slant on natural, unmedicated birth. So if you are seeking that kind of birth, this is super helpful to you. But it is just story after story of positive birth stories. We talked about the media and how the media instills this fear in us of what birth looks like and sounds like. So, our family members like to tell us stories about how everybody in their family births, or, even just standing in line at the grocery store. If somebody notices that you're expecting, inevitably they want to tell you the horror of horror stories, and we think that they mean well. That's what we've decided. We think they mean well. We think that they want you to be prepared for what could come your way. And a lot of it is just like, I'm still processing my birth story. And so I'm going to make you an unwilling, victim to
of my venting.
Absolutely. And you can stop them in their tracks, in whatever way feels right to you. I often say to my clients, just tell them your doula or your birth, your care provider is recommending that you surround yourself with really positive birth stories and positive thinking. So, put the horse blinders on, say, I'm so sorry you had that experience, but I'm really trying to keep positive intentions in mind with my birth.
Right.
That can be hugely impactful. And also, maybe change the culture of how we talk about birth.
Right.
What do you want to say?
Well, I was just going to say another way to kind of hold that type of talk, if it's something that you think it's going to cause fear, with friends and family. I like to suggest to say, you know what? Let's wait until after I give birth, and then we can swap stories then. So then I feel like I can contribute to the conversation. And so it's just another way to kind of, stop maybe something that is going to cause some fear. And then I think it's just kind of a nice, polite way to do it. And then you can have the conversation afterwards, and then you can swap stories.
Absolutely. Two of the podcasts that I've listened to that I find more on the positive end are the Birthful podcast, Birthful, or the birth hour. Those are two to start with. There are some out there that are more like highly interventive and all the things that could go wrong. Our favorite book to not love is the What to Expect series, because we just find them to be lists of things that you can't do and that could happen in birth and in pregnancy. And we are of the opinion that that is not setting a positive intention.
Right. I think there's a line in between, you know, telling the truth about things that can happen, but just to sit there and have, you know, those books are pretty darn thick of just everything that can go wrong. And so I just think it sets, you know, a bad picture.
Absolutely. And if you believe in manifestation, if you truly believe that this will be a part of your birth story, you might manifest that, and it might truly become part of your birth story. So, you know, do whatever you can to eliminate fears. Take our advice. If you have more questions, or if you found other ways to eliminate fear in your life, please put them down in the comments. We would love to learn from our viewers as well.
Right. And we will definitely be putting our, letting you know of our email address. So if you need to send an email, if you're pregnant out there and need to get some stuff out, please send it to us.
Yep. We'll
no
read
judgment.
It.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So yeah.
Who are we?
I always have to take a breath, like, okay, now I get to talk about myself. So again, my name is Jen Kelly. My business is Belly to Bliss Birth Services. My website, where you can find more information about me, is bellytobliss.com. My email is jennifer@bellytobliss.com. And same for my Facebook, which is Belly to Bliss Birth Services. So pretty easy to remember me.
All right. And I am Amy Moy. My business is Riverbend Birth Services. You can find me under the same name on Facebook. Website is riverbendbirthservices.com. My Instagram handle is @SacramentoDoula, and email would be amy@riverbendbirthservices.com. Phone number 916-769-7648. Do you want to say yours?
Yes, my phone number is 209-322-5271.
All right. And together we are Sacramento Cornerstone Childbirth. That's our joint project that we have going, the classes that we teach together. You can find us on the web at saccornerstonechildbirth.com, SAC, cornerstonechildbirth.com. And our website is saccornerstonechildbirth@gmail.com. Instagram is the same.
Yes.
Sac Cornerstone.
That was our email address, not our website.
Oh, did I say website?
But it's okay.
Thank you, Jen.
You're
the
welcome.
other half of my brain. You guys got the picture. All this
All of
information
it's in the comments.
Yep, absolutely. We want to say thank you to Instagram. Thanks for popping in.
Woo!
Oh, we do have some comments. Thank you, guys.
So, Connie, good afternoon to you too.
Hey, Lil.
Oh, ignore my mother.
Oh, no.
Just kidding.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you for joining. The more you can learn from positive sources, the more you are prepared to have a positive experience.
Thanks, Connie.
That's a good one. So continue to add comments if there's anything that you think we can answer about how to release fear, and we will definitely be checking back.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a
good
great day.
Bye. Okay, Instagram.